So I have a confession to make. I have listened to thousands of hours of Dave Ramsey content over the years. I have listened to the show, the podcast, clips. When I was paying off debt, it was something that I watched every single day. I took Financial Peace University with my husband as well before we got married. I used Dave Ramsey's debt snowball method to pay off my credit cards and my student loans, and I consumed all of his content, the books, the podcast, the YouTube clips. I consumed all of the Ramsey Solutions content, and I don't regret it. Dave's show and all of his content helped me motivate myself during my debt payoff journey. But the further I've gone on my financial journey, there are some things that I just don't agree with anymore. So in this video, I'm breaking down the biggest things I disagree with Dave Ramsey on, even after brainwashing myself with literally thousands of hours of Dave Ramsey content. Let's start with the big one. Dave Ramsey is famously anti-credit card. He says never use them ever, ever, ever. Not for the points, not for the perks, just avoid them altogether because they get you in trouble. And look, I get why he says that. It can be very difficult to use credit cards responsibly, and once you've gotten into deep credit card debt, you probably don't want to ever use them again. If you're deep in debt, you're struggling with your spending, or you're just starting out, cutting up your cards and listening to Dave Ramsey can be a very helpful reset. I've even done it before when I needed to get control of my impulse spending. But here's the thing. If you use credit cards responsibly, the rewards can be awesome. I've used cashback and travel points to fund multiple trips, including travel I did while I was paying off debt. I do not carry a balance, and I treat my credit card like a debit card and pay it off in full every single month, usually every single week. To me, credit cards are a tool, and just like any tool, it depends on how you use them. So no, I don't think credit cards are evil, and I don't think avoiding them for life is necessary to live a great financial life. The next big disagreement I have with old Papa Dave is that he tells you to pause all investing while you're paying off non-mortgage debt. I'll be honest, I did slow down my investing while I was paying off debt, but I never did anything drastic like stop contributing to my 401k to get the match. Time in the market matters a lot when you're investing, and if you're in your 20s or your 30s, those years of putting in investments and the compounding that will result from them are gold. When you invest early and often, that is what builds wealth for normal people. Even small contributions can make a massive difference over time if you start when you're 20 versus when you start when you're 40. You can go watch my video where I share 10 years of investing in a Roth IRA to see this in reality and how small amounts can compound and grow over time. One thing I'm glad I did while paying off debt was keep contributing to my 401k. I encourage you to do the same if you're in debt, especially if your employer offers a 401k match. That money is part of your compensation plan and you should get it. Even if you're in debt, you should make sure that you can put in the 3 to 6% to your 401k so that you're investing in your future and you get the money that your company owes you. You can still be gazelle intense and focus on paying off debt while investing small amounts in your future. It's not all or nothing. The next area where we disagree is that Dave recommends working with financial advisors, and he recommends investing in actively managed mutual funds. But here's where I have changed course. I believe in index funds that you can purchase from any brokerage on your own. They're low cost, they're easy to understand, and they are backed by decades of solid returns. I'm not trying to beat the market by a long shot. I'm trying to grow wealth steadily over time, and index funds is a great path to do that. I don't actually need someone selling me high fee funds when a low cost S&P 500 index fund will do just fine for investing and building wealth over time. Also, many of the financial advisors in Dave's SmartVestor network that he recommends pay to be in that network. So while those advisors might be helpful, they are not a totally unbiased recommendation from Dave Ramsey. If you want an advisor to look over your investments and help you figure out a plan and if you're invested in the right things, you can consider a fee-based professional who will not be selling you specific investments in order to earn a commission. Dave Ramsey's advice is super effective for people starting from scratch and paying off debt. It's simple, it's consistent, and it's motivational. And that's why it's worked for millions of people paying off debt and getting their lives together. But once you're past the basics, it can feel a little too rigid. For example, The idea that you should never take on debt, even for grad school, even for starting a business, it doesn't fit everyone's situation. Many people would never be able to live the life that they dream of without first taking on debt to do something like go to medical school. Sometimes it makes sense to take on debt in a calculated way in order to increase income long term. There's a difference between reckless consumer spending and debt that racks up from a credit card and a strategic investment in your future by using debt. I believe in critical thinking and planning your financial life around your needs, not just following blanket rules. So that's one reason why Dave Ramsey and I disagree on the one-size-fits-all type of advice that he often offers. Speaking of Dave Ramsey rules that he gives everyone that I don't think actually work, is that Dave Ramsey recommends you don't spend anything on fun until you are out of debt completely. He loves to say you won't see the inside of a restaurant unless you're working there. Well, that does work in theory to get all of your money to pay off debt, but most people cannot sustain a life without fun spending for the years it takes to pay off debt. Personally, when I was paying off debt, I did not want to cut out all fun spending until I was debt free. I knew it would take years, so here's what I did differently. While I was paying off my debt, I still traveled. I still went on dates with my husband. I still went out to eat at our favorite restaurants. I still enjoyed my life because I knew that I needed to stay motivated to keep paying off debt and not burn out. Usually people cut too drastically in the beginning. They cut out everything fun, and then in a month or two, when they've made a little progress but they're miserable, they give up, they quit, and then their debt just grows and grows. This is super common, and the key that I found during my experience was that I planned for the fun. I did not cut out everything because I knew I would hate life and give up. So instead, I planned for the fun. I made sure that my budget included travel. I made sure that it included eating out at restaurants. And then I made cuts in other areas where they didn't affect my life as much. And I was much happier, and I actually finished my debt payoff journey. You can make space for joy in your budget. You don't have to choose between living and enjoying your life and being financially responsible. They can go together. Let's be honest, life does not start after debt freedom. You're living life now, and tomorrow's not promised. So you need to build a budget that reflects what you actually care about and what matters to you. Those are a few things where I disagree with Dave Ramsey, but let me be clear. I am so thankful for what I learned from Dave Ramsey over the years that I consumed his content. His message helped me during my journey to gain control of my money, to ditch toxic debt, to feel empowered about my finances. It's the reason why I make YouTube videos and pass on those messages to other people as well. But as I kept learning and over time, I realized personal finance is personal. What works for millions of people doesn't have to be the only way. What works for one financial guru is not the only way to find success. You can take the good and the great advice that you hear from these types of leaders, and you can leave the rest that doesn't fit your style or your needs. So if you're like me, someone who has gotten a great start with Dave Ramsey, but now needs a plan that evolves and changes, you're not alone. It's pretty normal actually to graduate from Dave Ramsey. Your version of financial freedom might look different from his, and it might look different from mine, and that's okay. So those are the things where we disagree, but in general, I still have huge respect for Dave Ramsey, what he's built, and the millions of people he has helped achieve a much better financial life. If you like this video and my honest take, definitely check out this next video on why you shouldn't tell anyone you're in debt. Click here and I'll see you over there.